Hi, thanks, and welcome back. Um, know your role and stay in your lane. I thought it was important to make this video because I believe, based on what I'm seeing more and more of in my practice and work, that people are running into problems because they're not clear on their roles in the workplace and in other people's lives. So let me paint a picture for you. Close your eyes for a minute, if you will. Please don't do this if you're driving. But if you're at home, close your eyes for a minute, if you will. And I'd like you to imagine a very crowded 6-lane highway. And the traffic is moving very nicely. It's flowing, beautiful sunny day. Now I want you to imagine that cars just start without any signal, or just jumping over in each other's lanes, willy-nilly switching directions. Could you imagine the absolute chaos that would happen if people did not stay in their lanes on the highway and respect the boundaries? You could imagine the same thing happening in our lives and relationships. It is very essential to know where you are placed and why you are placed there, and respect the boundaries of your role so that the traffic can continue to flow smoothly in your life. And that's for your benefit and the benefit of the folks around you. In this video, I'm going to explore 3 areas where it is critical to understand your role and respect it, or you could be in for the big SmackDown, which is embarrassing, costly, and in some cases you can lose a lot of traction. So I make these videos because I want to keep us all on track and harmonizing out here in this hectic life. So the first area that I want to discuss is knowing your role at work. It is essential that you understand who and what you are in the workplace and why you're there. The workplace is where we make our livelihood. It's where we make our money, and we spend a lot of time. And if you're not operating on the up and up and in clarity here, it could cost you big time. I want to give you an example, a real life example. I was working with a gentleman. Now, he was a mid-level, let me back up, he was a new mid-level manager at an organization, and he just jumped right on in there very enthusiastically, and he was carrying himself as though he was the CEO of the company. Now, he was making friends fast, and he was making enemies even faster. And I've seen people make this mistake time and time again. Incidentally, I want you to know that there's a whole body of research. The people who do well in the workforce, they're not the ones with the loud mouth who, they're jumping right ahead and jumping in. They are actually the ones who understand the importance of observing the situation, choosing your timing very well in terms of positioning yourself or repositioning yourself. It's very important to know the lay of the land before you jump in. And I'll tell you why. If you really just go all hands on deck without fully understanding, first and foremost, the role of those around you, you need to pay attention to not only your role definition, but the roles of those around you. If you start stepping on toes, you're going to make people nervous. When people get nervous, they become uncomfortable. When people come uncomfortable around you, they want to minimize your role in an organization or in their life. It's just human nature. And honestly, it doesn't matter how talented you are. I have seen talented people who don't understand the social nuances suffer in life because they were not clear on their role definition. Again, I want you to take some time to think about where I fit here. Your work and your livelihood is worthy of that level of reflection. Number two, I'd like you to think about what is your role in forming and maintaining your relationships. What do I mean by that? Relationships are formed and maintained based on a couple items. They are time, proximity, distance, and reciprocity. When you stop and examine those items, this will tell you exactly where you are placed in all of your relationships. There's some questions to think about at all times. How long have I known this person? Timing is key in terms of role definition. It's a huge mistake to try to place yourself prominently in someone's life when it's a new relationship. Okay, why is that such a critical factor? Because eight or nine times out of 10, it turns a person off. We live in a climate where people, they do not trust easy. Many people are shut down. So when you feature or try to attempt to place yourself in a featured prominent spot, that is off-putting to people, and you need to understand, again, I'm going back to environment now, it is essential to take your time and pay attention in forming and maintaining your relationships. Second question to think about, how distant or close is this relationship? And where is the level of reciprocity? When relationships are closely aligned, there's generally a high level of reciprocity. When they are loosely aligned, there is either no reciprocity or low reciprocity. Are your calls being returned? Are people taking you up on your invitations? You need to pay attention to that. A woman reached out to me, and she was so heartbroken. She had reconnected with a friend, an old friend on Facebook, and just couldn't understand why her friend didn't want to get together for dinner and some things like that. And it was, very clear. She was not clear on her role definition. Your role was her Facebook friend. Okay, you were not featured prominently in her life. Therefore, there was a low level of reciprocity and very little interest. If you pay attention to these things, you can avoid getting your feelings hurt. You can avoid wasting time, and you can avoid investing energy in people, places, things, and circumstances where there's just no reciprocity or energy coming back at you. I want to remind you of something I talked about in other videos, which is relational stance. And the relational stance theory states the way people see you is the way they are with you. The way people see you, the way you are aligned in their mind and life, is the way they are with you. When a person respects and values you, they return your calls. They reciprocate. The communication channels are there. When they don't see you in that light, it looks a different way. I know it may be harsh, but don't ignore it when it's happening, because that behavior is giving you a ton of critical information. Please pay attention to it. And number three, now this one, I'm throwing you guys a little bit of a curveball. Do you know your role in the cosmos? It's important that you understand your role on this earth and into the stars. I'm hearing more and more people say, I feel lost. I feel like I don't have a place. I feel like I'm free floating, and that is a sad reality for me to hear that. But let me clear it up for you. You are a child of God on this planet, and your role is to connect to your purpose, knock the ball out of the park, and execute. Once you are connected with your purpose, you are absolutely unstoppable, and you are moving with the momentum of a freight train. And that is what I want for all of you who watch these videos. And that's why I continue to make them. So I hope that something I said on this video resonated for you and made a difference. And I'll see you next time.